Would you send more emails if you could have AI do it for you, write them for you, come up with the ideas for you, and it actually sounds like you and not a robot? That's what we're going to be talking about in today's show. Hello! Happy Email Marketing Wednesday. Hope you're having a class week. Hope you're having a good time. I've got a really great guest for you this week, and I can't wait to be speaking to Maggie in a second. But before we get into that, if at the end of this episode you've got a bunch of questions, you want to actually chat about how do you apply all of this stuff, good news, come and ask those questions and discuss all those things inside of our free Facebook community. It's called the Email Marketing Show Community. Just whip open Facebook, search for the Email Marketing Show Community, get yourself in there, and we'll continue those discussions with a few thousand other entrepreneurs. Anyway, please put your phone in your pocket, put your hands together, and give a lovely round of applause and welcome to my friend Maggie Giele. Maggie, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you are welcome. It's great to see you. We were just chatting for like, I don't know, half an hour or something. We were like, shit, we should record a bloody podcast. So, in case anybody doesn't know kind of your story in your business, if there's anybody on Planet Facebook who's not seen your ads yet, which I don't think there's many of them because I see them every 3.5 seconds, give us a little bit of a background as to what it is you do, what your business is all about.
So I'm a business and marketing strategist. I basically help companies grow and scale, usually with a high-ticket one-to-many offer and a crap ton of AI and automations to help them save them time. I have severe ADHD. I can't be consistent to save my life. So when AI came along, I was like, yes, I'm all in. Let's go.
Love it. I love it. I think it's one of those things of like the blessing of ADHD is, especially when you recognize it and you're like, I'm just embracing it, is you go, how do I put stuff in place to make myself consistent in spite of myself?
Yes. And that's like the whole, that's actually what got me into figuring how to train ChatGPT sound like you because of that lack of consistency. We can get into that in a second.
So how did you end up doing what you're doing?
I have a master's of science and marketing strategy. And after I graduated in like the biggest recession the world had ever seen, basically since the Great Depression, we moved to Germany and I couldn't find a job. Didn't get a single interview. I started freelancing, realized I was helping my clients get great results. And I was like, oh, maybe this marketing thing is going to work out. And it's kind of grown from there. And now my husband works for me full time. My sister works for me full time. We just moved to Portugal from Amsterdam a couple months ago. So building a house on a hill, like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice. Building a house on a hill, just casually dropping that in.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. So obviously, people have been asking me since probably about 2 years ago, can AI really write emails? And I think the answer until maybe about 5 months ago was it can write emails, but they are shit. That was kind of what my response was. Like, they sound like a robot. They don't sound like you. There's no authenticity there. And of course, there's that missing piece of how does it know what to write about? Because they're your personal stories. You generally want to be sharing a bit of you about your day and this kind of thing. So you really decided one day in the not so distant past that you were going to really try and wrangle AI and train it and figure out how to make it sound like you, which you've successfully done, which is crazy.
Yeah, that wasn't the decision, actually. I wasn't intending to go into AI at all. I was actually intending to do a totally different thing, which was go viral on TikTok and Instagram Reels. That was my intention because I had just tried doing this VSL funnel with ads. I had lost 40 grand. Leads had dried up. Organic wasn't working. I was like, I need a new source of getting in front of people faster. And I was like, this is like 2 years ago. So I was like, oh, let me go all in on what's working now, which was shorts, video shorts. And because I mentioned I have ADHD, can't be consistent, I am not the person who's going to create 3 to 5 shorts a week. Not going to happen. It's like, cool, let me have a batch day and just like batch as many videos as I can and we had a video batch day, and as you can tell, I can't answer a question in under 60 seconds. So that didn't work. And I realized I have to actually script these.
Okay.
And that's where I was like, cool, let me try this ChatGPT thing. And because I had this time pressure, very quickly, I figured out how to train it to give me video scripts that sounded like I would have written them myself. And we filmed 180 videos in one day.
180 in a day?
Yep.
Did you get up at 3 a.m.?
No. No, it was like just because we had all the scripts, it was just like teleprompter and
Just go.
just go. We had the scripts because of the AI, and I would not have made that deadline without it.
So because you had the AI, you now knew what to say. So you had like a separate planning day where you got it to write the script, I'm guessing,
Yep.
when you're in sort of one mode of your mind, let's call it. And then you had another day booked in where you go, great, I'm going to actually stand, sit, whatever, and record these things.
Exactly. And
Did you
here's
have...
where sorry, go ahead.
Don't go on.
Here's where things like took a turn that I was never expecting. I flew to Nashville for a mastermind, and I was showing, like, kind of mentioned this to a few people, like, oh, I used ChatGPT like to write my scripts in brand voice, and everyone just went, huh, tell me more. So I had my husband told me, like, when you're on the flight, just document your process, just so you know for next time. So I wrote this like 2,000 word Google Doc on what prompts I used, how I did it, all of that stuff. And I went on Facebook. I said, oh, I wrote this guide on how I filmed 180 videos in one day with the help of AI. Who wants it? 300 people raised their hands on my basically semi-dead Facebook. I was like, huh, that's interesting. What can I do with this? I said, cool. Let me now turn this process into a workshop. Let me run it live. Let me sell for $47. Let me see what happens. Let's aim for 20 spots. We sold 60. I went, huh, that's interesting. I'm clearly hitting a nerve, and that turned into like, right, what if we put, Crappy Thrive for our checkout page and put $300 behind this with ads? Can we sell this? We could, and that was the start of a 7-figure business.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know this. I'm quite interested to hear the answer. Before that, I will guess, if you're like most entrepreneurs, you'd put a lot of effort into other lead generation strategies which hadn't worked as well. And there was this thing that you sort of shrugged off as like, kind of like, let's just see if it works. You weren't that attached to. It was kind of a throwaway thing, and it's the one that blows up.
100%. I was betting. I put in like basically the last bit of the business savings I had into the TikTok filming stuff because we hired like a crew and everything. And that didn't work the way I thought it was gonna, but this thing took off, which is so interesting.
That's crazy. And why do you think that happened? Do you think that's because of the timing of... And obviously there's a big frustration with people hearing about AI, seeing they need to get more content ideas on every platform, email, social, the whole lot, seeing these two things, but no one can really connect them. Like, they're really difficult until you came along to make AI dance to the tune of actual usable content. You were able to bring those two worlds together, which I think is a really interesting market lesson for all of us. When we go, cool, what are two things that people currently cannot connect? They're seeing this and they're thinking they should be able to do that. Like, it's kind of like, what's the Zapier connector in the middle here? Like, Zapier is the duct tape of the internet, isn't it? It's like, you can't get this to speak to that? Hey, we've got Zapier. We can jam those things together. That's what you've done.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I definitely think it was a timing thing, but I thought like the train ChatGPT sound like what's now the course, I thought it was going to last maybe 6 months max. Yeah. We're like almost 2 years in. I'm still getting like daily sales of this because people now understand ChatGPT. They've tried it, and so many people haven't been able to figure out how to actually use it properly to get it to sound like them. Like, my emails used to be the bane of my freaking existence. I would like... Because my goal is to send like at least 3 emails a week, and I would have so much just guilt and frustration and, so many times, 8 p.m. and I still haven't sent an email. I now have to not have dinner, go to my computer, write a freaking email after being, while tired and not creative. And now the stuff that used to take me an hour takes me 5 minutes.
Yeah, I saw a video of you, like you were like between meetings or you were doing something and you literally picked up your phone, you spoke into it, and it produced an email. Like, that's crazy, right? And it was usable. Like, it wasn't like, to whom it may concern, it wasn't any of that shit.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I'm like every single freaking entrepreneur, if you create any kind of content for your business, and in this case, obviously we're talking about email marketing. If you have to send emails to your list, you need a custom GPT in your brand voice for your emails.
Right.
Like right now, this is a non-negotiable.
That's crazy. So tell me about the process. So like, what is it that really, why do people struggle? Because you understand more about AI than most people do, I think. And so why is it when a mere mortal like me flings open ChatGPT and says, here's an example of 3,000 words of me having written a bunch of articles in the past, so I feel like I'm training it. Here's what I've done. Please write an email in this voice and make it about X thing. That's what I think most normal human beings who are not as experienced will do. They'll say, here's a sample, tell me about my brand voice, and try and model it. And yet the thing that comes back is garbage. Why
Yeah.
is that?
Couple of reasons. Depends on the person. It depends on the scenario. A lot of people are giving it the wrong input. So if you're not really clear on your brand voice, it's gonna be hard to do.
Okay.
Like, I know my brand voice, which is like how I talk. It's kind of snarky. It's direct. And I usually pop in some kind of fantasy or video game reference.
Yes.
Like, my dog's name is Frodo. Like, this is a thing.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense.
So when, like, that's just kind of like the tip of the iceberg with this. But if the other part is, I've had clients do this, like, oh, I've given it all this input and it sounds like crap, and I look at the input, I'm like, yeah, but the input isn't good. The input is actually what you don't actually want to replicate. This input, because in your case, if you are trying to replicate, if you want to create emails, then don't give it articles, give it your past emails.
Right. Yes. This makes perfect sense, because it's interesting how us human beings, we compartmentalize things. I produced a VSL and I cloned my voice using 11 Labs.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did it, I sent it to some mutual friends of ours who are big in that sort of VSL marketing world. And this was about a year and a half ago. And they were like, how have you got such good good output from this thing? It actually sounds like you. And the answer was, I didn't just give it episodes of me talking on a podcast. I gave it sales material that I'd spoken. I gave it the webinar I've delivered or the sales video. So you want to give it input. You want to give any AI the input of the same type, genre, modality of the output that you want. And that I hadn't thought that before, but now you've connected those dots. That's really, it's really smart.
Yeah. So I think one, like, getting super clear on brand voice and like what is your brand voice. One hack I have, so you've kind of mentioned it. Take input from you, give it ChatGPT and ask it to analyze like brand voice, syntax, writing style. But what I would suggest, do not use something you've written. Use a transcript of you speaking, because ultimately, if we're trying to connect with people, I don't know what like your philosophy on this is, but I'm like, I want my writing to sound as close to how I speak as possible. I don't want them to be different.
We definitely want to. And the reason we want to do that is because as human beings, when we read something on the page, we do a thing called subvocalization, which is why when we read words on the page, we hear the words in our heads. In fact, I remember for some bizarre reason decided it was a good idea at the age of 20 to learn to speed read. So I bought a book on speed reading, which sounds like a ridiculous idea. I didn't make it very far through because I sucked at it. But one of the things they try and teach you to do is to stop subvocalizing, because that's the thing that slows us down. But that's the reason when you're like, I can hear your voice in my head. That's because I write how I talk. It also means you don't have to try and impress your English teacher when you're writing emails.
Yeah. That's the thing. So if you give it input that's like from a transcript where you've shared a story or you're talking about your bit, like why you start your business or just something, that's one part. And the secret, honestly, to me writing my emails in 5 minutes, including editing, is we've given it and we've basically forced that custom GPT. So I basically went through all my email marketing. I pulled out my highest converting emails. The ones that I know booked me sales calls, booked me clients, booked me like opportunities, whatever, or got really high click-through and open rates. We created templates from them. We gave it to that custom GPT and we're like, only use these templates when you create that email.
Interesting.
So it's a kind of two-parter. On one hand, we do obviously this is like a super top level view. Like it takes me about 90 minutes to actually teach this stuff for someone else. But the brand voice stuff is really important. And then giving it direction, telling it, this is what a good output from you will look like. So this is why I can pull out my phone, open ChatGPT and literally say, write me an email about my dog rolling in something gross. And it will write me an email about Frodo, the Aussie Doodle on the beach. It's going to link it to automations or your scaling your business, whatever. And it's going to say, book your game plan call with Maggie and the team over here. And it's going to have like a fantasy reference and it's going to be snarky.
That's great. And you're doing that, I'm guessing, anybody who's been inside of building their own GPTs, you're doing that through uploading some kind of knowledge base, a couple of knowledge articles around, one for brand voice, probably with some samples, and then of course some samples of what good emails look like.
Yeah, we've got like 4 key things that we upload more or less, and plus we've got the entire prompt that we do and we customize. But in a top level, that's it. We have the brand voice stuff. If that isn't good, if you're not clear, it's not going to work.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I love that. The other thing that I like to do when I'm teaching anything, I help somebody who has an AI writing tool, SaaS, that he sells. And one of the things that I found helped and has really helped with his is asking it to pay really specific close attention to the verbs and adverbs that I use. Because I think the verbs and adverbs that any of us use are quite defining of our personalities. So if we think about like, I would say this word, but I would never say that. And it's often those words which more so than like nouns that tend to be like, oh, they would never say that, because they never say brilliant, but they might say awesome, or or those kind of expressive adjectives, I guess, is another sort of is another one. Which is really interesting. I love it. One of the things I know, so hopefully I'm thinking everybody watching and listening should be really thinking at this point in time, with the correct training, it is absolutely possible, more than possible. It is doable to have ChatGPT create emails, write emails in your brand voice, and it is the first draft. Like, you're gonna have to go in and like do a little bit of tweaking, as you said, but you can do it all in 5 minutes tops, right?
Yeah. So don't expect perfection from AI. I don't think any of us do that. I don't expect it to be 100% perfect. I want 80 to 90, so I can skim it and be like, make a couple of changes, and I have a usable draft that's at least 80% there. Because for like, you can automate this now. I literally have ChatGPT send me a belief shifting email to my list every day. It writes it for me in my brand voice and sends it to me, and then I can be like, oh, is that the email for the day, or do I want to change the story or whatever?
Right. Wow, that's great. So you've got like a little worker AI going on in the background. I love that. I think that's fantastic. And so that's one of the things we should definitely be doing. One of the things you're doing is you're using all of this, because obviously people say, oh, will this work for my business? And of course, this works great for you selling your courses, which are like study, click, buy the thing. But also people think, oh, that's fine if you're just selling a low ticket item. I mean, in case somebody doesn't know, Maggie's selling high ticket. Maggie is selling things for like 12K plus using these emails. You're booking sales calls. Like, these are things which involve a lot of trust from the reader. They involve a lot of understanding of your world, your theories, your belief systems, and creating a lot of desire. So like, these emails are doing all of that, which is probably the most exciting part of it. So I know you have a whole framework, like a campaign, shall we call it, that you've used AI to write, that you are like, everyone who's running high ticket sales calls, you're missing a huge opportunity. You were telling me like, we need to tell them this, we need to tell them this. So I'm going to just shut my face and let you tell us the thing.
I love that. Yeah. Like you said, I've got a low ticket ecosystem. So the low ticket stuff, the course, it's my lead gen. The thing I actually sell group programs and masterminds, and that's how we help people and make money and make an impact. So I wish I had learned this tactic, years before I actually learned it and implemented it. So please, if you have an email list and you sell using sales calls, after listening to this, like, actually do it. It's going to take you probably less than 10 minutes. So a lot of people are familiar with like it's basically an abandoned cart sequence for your sales call. So principle wise, I think that should be quite straightforward for people. I just never thought about it before. Normally when you're selling with sales calls, you'll have like some kind of, a story or a belief shift or a case study, and like, hey, in my case, book your game plan call here, schedule your game plan calls, claim your free strategy session, whatever. Now, what you can do is set up an automation with tags on that link. Okay, so if someone books a call, we tag them with, Kennedy's booked a call. And if you've clicked the link, you get tagged, Kennedy has clicked the link. If you have been tagged, clicked the link to book a sales call, you have not been tagged, booked a sales call, within 30 minutes, you're going to get an automated sequence that will encourage you or push you or whatever to book that call.
I love it. Yeah, because basically what we've got now is we've got a level of intent. I think the thing to say here is, as long as the email sending the person to the book a call page isn't blind, as long as there is intent there. Like, if it was an email that says, hey, I've just put a cool new thing on this page, and it's kind of blind, and it was like a link to a page with like, where you're going to explain it in a video when the stuff, obviously, we're not going to do it then. We're basing this on there is a level of intent where the person was going to go check out the page.
Yeah. I would like only do it for like links where like it says like schedule your call, book your call, claim. When people know that link is to schedule that call, that's where there's intent. So thanks for that. Like, yeah.
I love that. And so your first email, so you're waiting 30 minutes. So the click the link to, so there's an email received. We've got some openings right now for some strategy calls or whatever you want to call them, game plan calls. Click here to book it. Click here to check my availability, however you're going to do it. So they know that's what they're checking out. Like, they know when I click this link, I'm going to see a calendar.
Yeah.
That's basically what they have to have in their head. Exactly. That's a picture that's in their brain. They click that. If there's not a call book within 30 minutes, at the 30-minute, the timer is, started in the automation, that the first email's coming out. And how many emails is that automation over what kind of time period, and what sort of is in that?
Yeah, so it's I mean, you can do it the way you want. I just double check. We do it 20 minutes, not 30.
Okay.
That doesn't make that much of a difference, but maybe feels more organic this way. It's about 3-4 emails over 3 days or so, with the first three are happening in the first 24 hours. Because we're basically trying to get people who like they've booked it, but maybe they just went to another tab and they forgot. We're like, hey, you forgot to do this thing. Maybe they've clicked on that link, they open the calendar, and none of the times fit them. So we want to be like, hey, do you need a different time? Like, here's how to contact us. So the people who kind of have intent, but for whatever reason didn't move forward. So like the first email is basically, I've got it open here, is like, game plan call. I saw you checked out booking game plan call. You haven't scheduled it. It's kind of selling them back on the value of, hey, give us 45 minutes. We're going to walk through like your roadblocks. We're going to help you figure out, where you are now, where you want to be. Here's the link again. So it's more of a kind of generic reminder. And it's about like, if you have any questions. The next one, this is where we get a lot of responses. So it's actually really good for feedback as well. The next one runs 80 minutes later. Okay. So we give them a bit of time because we don't want to bombard people. The next one is just like, hey, thanks for your interest. I checked the schedule. It doesn't look like you booked your slot. Here's the link again, in case you missed it. If you have any questions, can't find time, let us know. And by the way, you can get like this template from me for free. So you don't need to try and memorize this. But the subject line works really well. The subject line is, did something happen? Because it's also a genuine thing. Like, you've wanted to book this call, you haven't, what's up, right? So it's kind of, next one's like, oops, did I miss it? Checking back, on the calendar. Anything happened? You need a different space. Pop a reply here. I'll find some time for you. That works.
I like that because what's really nice about this point as well is humanizing it. I think one of the things we have to do now in a world of automation, so much automation, now a lot of AI which integrates with automation. I think anytime we get to show this ability to, you can reply, even if they don't reply, the fact they know they can reply, it's a bit like having a contact email address on your shopping cart on the checkout page. People don't freaking email you from it, but the fact they know they can humanize the experience, lets you know you're significant and we're real and we're really here for you, I think is great. And of course, as I say, you're going to get some replies from this one, like, hey, I have to do it only in mornings. I can only do it in the evenings. And I'm assuming do you have like an extended calendar for those people?
Yeah, like if they reply back, we can't do it, then we help them out. But what's interesting, especially to like the oops, did I miss it email, people reply as if it's me personally emailing them. They're like, Maggie, listen, I'm so sorry. I just don't think I'm ready to have that conversation. Do you think I don't think I'm far enough in my business, blah, blah, blah. So I get to have like a genuine conversation with people in emails. And obviously, for email deliverability, if we can have that back and forth, that's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's great. And so we're going to do that over the next few days, 3 days or so, to follow up on that. And that means the people who had that high level of intent. I just think this is gold. Like every single point in our emails, I like to say, whenever I'm designing an automation or whenever I'm designing a strategy, I ask the question, what if they don't? Right? So they click on the link and then what's going to happen? Okay, they're going to click on the link and book the call. Yeah, what if they don't? Oh, they click. Where are the gaps? Like, as they say on the London Underground, please mind the gap. Where is the gap that they can fall down? I think that's awesome. I think that's right. And it's all these amazing little opportunities. And I mean, I'm assuming you've seen a significant increase in bookings. Massive. Just by implementing this thing that's running for you.
Yeah. And the last email I think is interesting. So the first three are like more like reminders, and they're quite like, 20 minutes after, 80 minutes after, 23 hours later. So it's all within a day.
Yes.
Then you wait 3 days, and it's much more value based. And it's just like social proof, case studies, testimonials.
Oh, great.
You might be skeptical, go here, like watch this stuff. So it's kind of just building that trust a little bit more for anyone who was still kind of on the fence about that.
Yeah, I love that. And another thing for everyone listening as well, is one of the things we like to do with sales calls is overcome the objection to the sales call. I think people forget that we're selling the call. The call itself is going to sell the product. We're selling the call. So giving people this sense of what will actually happen on the sales call. I'm going to ask you a gazillion questions. I'm not going to, tie it to the desk until you buy. This is kind of how it's going to work. And that social proof bit is, if people say, oh, I had a great call with Maggie's team, we really broke through some stuff, is seeing other people, because nobody wants to go first, right? Everyone wants to. I love that.
Exactly. Speaking of that, actually, so here's a way to kind of combine these two things. We talk about with this email kind of social proof relationship stuff, automations, with AI sounding like you. We are working on a digital magazine called Secrets of Their Success, which is basically all client case studies. I'm just procrastinating getting some feedback to the design that's basically done. And that's gonna be like in that final email. We're gonna update that with like the case study magazine. The last time I wrote a magazine like this, like a guidebook, a long form sales page. It took me two full weeks of copywriting to write it. This time, it took I don't even do it. My husband did it, Michael. He did it in probably 3 to 4 hours. I spent 20 minutes, maybe max, let's say max an hour, so I'm not exaggerating, going through it and editing because it was so good in my brand voice already, and I wasn't even involved. So the stuff that used to take us 2 full weeks now takes us less than half a day because of this.
And more importantly, somebody else can do it. And that's the really important thing. Like, if you have an assistant, if you have a sister, if you have somebody else doing this stuff for you, you're like, I'm sick, a bit like me, like, I have to write every freaking piece of copy in this business, otherwise it sounds like shit. The good news is, even if, like, some of us have assistants where perhaps, or members of the team, or whatever, relatives, where English is not their first language, you know, none of that matters. If they can, because chat is so forgiving of typos and not quite getting it right. It knows what the hell's going on. It can still produce something in your brand voice. And that means, you know, you look at putting this automation together that Maggie's just shared with us, right? And you go, how long is it going to take me? Well, it's going to take longer if you do it manually. It's going to take less time if you feed it the structure that we've just talked about, and it's already been trained in your brand voice. Every automation, every piece of content, every product summary inside of your members area, whatever, is all so much faster once you've got that brand voice GPT dialed in.
That's the thing, because you can take that, you take my Google Doc with my template and be like, cool, make this in my brand voice. Done.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Is there anything else that we need to cover on this? I think we've nailed it.
Oh, like I
know you want to go into all the details. I know you.
No, I'm holding myself back. But just like, you know, my husband Michael is like, he's also my sales closer. And when he like comes off sales calls, he might have an idea because this client had this like one objection. He puts that story into ChatGPT. We have an email I can send to my list to handle that objection for future people. We have like, you know, more AI stuff. We have a sales call analyzer. I mentioned this to you earlier. Like, there are multi-7-figure business using our sales call analyzer to train their sales teams to close. So if you're running sales calls, just AI and ChatGPT can give you so much data that is immediately actionable to get you either save you time or get you stronger results. I think a lot of people aren't really seeing that beyond, you know, hey, ChatGPT, write me a LinkedIn post.
Yeah. Of course, it basically put, if ChatGPT had some balls, it would come back and say, about what? What are you talking? I don't even know you. You know, like anybody else. I love it. I know you mentioned there's a bunch of resources we can grab from you. I know you said you've got this whole automation, this campaign in a Google Doc. Where can we go and opt into your list to actually see all these great emails that you produce with ChatGPT, and also, of course, get access to this Google Doc?
Yeah, so I guess you can share your affiliate link for my course. I'm like, guys, it's $47. It'll take you 60 to 90 minutes to go through and implement it. You can have someone else on your team implement it. Like, I don't care, but this is going to be the best freaking resource to save you so much time for like content. And for the email automation, if you go to go.maggiegiele.com/email, you can grab that there and again implement it immediately.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've put, because there's a lot of resources here, we've put all those links into the show notes. So do get your phone or device out of your pocket and click on those things. They're also included in the article as well. And if you're not already following Maggie on socials, what's the best social platform for us to follow you on?
Facebook or Instagram. I'm at Maggie Giele on both.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, then just like feel free to DM me there. I'm an open book.
Yeah, awesome. Folks, thanks so much for listening. Maggie, thank you so much for being on the show. You've been an absolute, just open book, as you said you would be, just sharing all this really good stuff and kind of demystifying all this stuff. Because I know a lot of us are like, but I still want to write all the emails. You can still write them. You can just get some assistance with all this stuff. So I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Folks, we'll be back next week. Make sure you hit subscribe on your podcast player if you haven't already. We'll do it all again next week with a brand new episode, and I will see you all then.